Hi, I'm Hal Roberts. This is Bridge City News. Here's some of the top stories we've been following. Charges have been laid in connection with one of the worst wildfires in Nova Scotia's history. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says Canada stands firm on a two-state solution for the Middle East. Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu disagrees. And a recent survey says Lethbridge business owners are hurting and have a number of concerns. Trevor Lewington with Economic Development Lethbridge has the details.
Your nation, your province, your southern Alberta. From the heart of Lethbridge, it's Bridge City News with Hal Roberts.
Thanks so much for joining us. A 22-year-old man has been charged after conservation officers in Nova Scotia investigated what caused one of the worst wildfires in the province's history last year. Nova Scotia's Natural Resources Department issued a statement saying that Dalton Clark Stewart of Villakedale is facing 3 charges related to the Barrington Lake fire that began last May. The blaze ended up scorching more than 23,000 hectares and forced around 6,000 people from their homes. It was finally brought under control back on June 13th. Now, at the time of the wildfire, several Liberal MPs reportedly blamed the wildfire on climate change. Stewart has been charged with lighting a fire on private land without the owner's consent, failing to make reasonable efforts to prevent the spread of the fire, and leaving a fire unattended. The inquest into the 2022 mass stabbing on a Saskatchewan First Nation is hearing that human error is the reason an emergency alert with the wrong image of the killer was sent to RCMP officers. RCMP issued the first dangerous person alert at 7:12 in the morning on September the 4th, and officials say the third alert included photos of Miles Sanderson and his brother Damien. The communications unit of the RCMP was notified that at 9 a.m., the photo of Sanderson was actually that of another person from the James Smith Cree Nation with the same name, thus creating some chaos. Those who are attending the inquest right now also say they're feeling frustrated since their voices are not being heard.
Nobody wants to answer my questions. You know, they're not being answered properly. It's like they're passing the buck. Yeah. Well, let somebody else answer that at a later date, and that don't sit too well with me right now.
Miles Sanderson killed 11 people and injured 17 others on the James Smith Cree Nation and in the nearby village of Weldon before dying in police custody a few days later. American fighter jets from the aircraft carrier Dwight D. Eisenhower hit Houthi rebel sites in Yemen today. The strikes took out anti-ship missile launchers that were preparing to fire. This is the 6th U.S. strike so far against the terrorist group attacking cargo ships in the Red Sea. The attack came as U.S. President Joe Biden spoke with Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu for the first time in about a month. You know, the families of Israeli hostages being held by Hamas blocked a major highway in Tel Aviv today to show their frustration with what they believe is the government's failure to pursue another hostage deal. There are reports that protesters held up signs reading, "Deal now," as traffic was being blocked. An uncle of one of the hostages says rifle-toting police chased him and other demonstrators before briefly detaining them. Gaza urgently needs more aid or its desperate population will suffer from widespread famine and disease. That is according to officials at the United Nations who issued the warning earlier today.
The Secretary General urges all relevant actors to ensure that sufficient humanitarian aid gets into and where it is needed in the Gaza Strip, and calls for the reactivation of the private sector to bring in basic commodities into the Gaza Strip.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau reasserted Canadian support for a two-state solution in the Middle East. Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu said that his government does not support Palestinian statehood as Israel's war with Hamas continues. He also laid out his plans for Gaza.
The destruction of Hamas, complete demilitarization under Israeli control, and a civilian administration that does not preach the destruction of Israel, does not teach the destruction of Israel, and does not send terror toward Israel. I think these things are not that complex. I would be happy if Gazans can be found to do this.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, meanwhile, says Canada believes the establishment of a secure Palestinian state with international borders will be necessary for the security of Israel and the region.
We believe in a two-state solution. Now, right now, obviously the level of conflict and tensions means it's not for tomorrow. But the things we do today as we engage in the region, as we work with partners, as we reflect on everything we can do to bring peace and stability to the region, Canada remains deeply committed towards a two-state solution.
PM Trudeau made the comments in Nunavut, where he and the Premier of Nunavut signed an agreement giving the territory powers over the management of land, waters, and resources within its borders.
It means that we, the people most invested in our homelands, will be one of the ones managing our natural resources. Nunavut is a land of incredible abundance. Our waters are teeming with sea mammals and fish that could support sustainable fisheries industries. Our land is rich with precious metals, minerals, as well as rare earths that could secure our economic prosperity into our future.
During his meeting with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Nunavut's Premier also asked Ottawa for $250 million to build more homes and to help with the high cost of living in the territory. Well, we had an extreme cold warning from Environment Canada, which ended earlier today. Wind chill values were around minus 35 degrees for Lethbridge earlier this morning. Jeanette Roche is now with a quick peek at the forecast. Jeanette, it appears as though the mercury is climbing, and just in time for the weekend as well.
Yes, and not soon enough either, Hal. That temperature should be rising to -7 by the morning, -5 by the afternoon, thus putting an end to that extreme cold. However, keep in mind, we are still going to be dealing with those wind chill values. I mean, this is winter after all. We are looking at a wind chill of -14 tomorrow, even though we have that -5 for a high. Also looking at a 20K wind from the southwest. It should be lightening up later on in the day. As for the rest of the weekend and into next week, well, I'll be back later in the show to give you those details. And here's a sneak peek. It's going to get much nicer. We're going to see some pluses. Hal?
Looking forward to those plus temperatures. Thanks so much, Jeanette. Well, we've had our fair share of snow here in Alberta, and winter storms are also having a negative impact on British Columbia. All public schools in BC's Fraser Valley were closed for a third straight day. Most Metro Vancouver schools were open, even though freezing rain was in the forecast today. As for Newfoundland and Labrador, some areas are being pounded by up to 50 centimeters of snow. Police are investigating a string of extortions targeting business people in the Edmonton area's South Asian community. They say they're looking into 27 events where suspects have demanded large sums of money and appear to know personal information of those they've targeted. Police say if the victims don't pay up, the suspects have burned or shot at properties.
The amount of property damage as a result of the arsons and shootings is estimated to be at least $9 million. At this time, we believe the series is being committed by a group of local individuals being directed by a suspect in India. Of those 27 files, we are investigating 15 arsons, 7 firearm offenses, and 5 extortions. To date, police have arrested 6 young males in connection with these arsons and firearms offenses.
Now, there have been similar incidents in both British Columbia and Ontario, but police say there's no evidence to suggest the Edmonton extortions are related to what's happening elsewhere. Well, it's been around for 5 decades, but as of next month, it'll be no more. The Black Velvet bottling facility will be shutting its doors here in Lethbridge. Company officials with its parent company, Heaven Hill Brands, says keeping Black Velvet open was financially unfeasible. They said a decline in the efficiency of the bottling process at the plant led to too much of a production increase, which led to the closure. The CEO of Economic Development Lethbridge, Trevor Lewington, says it's unfortunate that this division of Black Velvet is pulling up stakes and moving to the United States, meaning that there'll be some job losses.
I mean, these are a significant number of jobs, and they're high quality jobs in our community, so that's obviously a concern. The company's been very clear, though, that it's about the feasibility and the economics of doing the upgrades. It's not a reflection on the plant or the people or the community. It's just a function of making an investment here in new equipment versus expanding operations in one of their existing facilities. And so very disappointed, of course. Hopefully we can look to find other ways to attract similar business or replace that business. The good news is other parts of the operation will remain here, and they're still a part of our community.
Yes, indeed. Company officials said that while the bottling operations will be moved to Kentucky, the distilling operation will remain here in the city. You know, when it comes to doing business in Lethbridge, optimism still remains fairly high among Lethbridge business owners. That's according to the 2023 Brighter Together survey. The study launched by Economic Development Lethbridge, the Chamber, and the Downtown Lethbridge BRZ says 2/3 of respondents expressed a favorable outlook for the next 6 to 12 months. Around 56% of business owners in Lethbridge said they witnessed growth this past year, and 70% of business owners said they don't expect to see a rise in operational costs this year. Now, some business owners, however, did say that there were some serious challenges they were facing.
The resounding theme out of this year's survey was all around cost. So businesses are pressured by the rising cost of inputs, the rising cost of labor, the rising cost of everything from utilities to just how they do business, right? So that was a clear message that came out of this survey. It helps inform the work we do as an organization along with our partners to help businesses with new ideas or new programs around gaining efficiencies, about cutting costs, about productivity. So that's how we use it. It's quite helpful in that regard.
Hyperbaric chambers, you may have heard of them. They're used to help athletes who've been injured to heal a little bit faster. Brian and Cassandra Meyerhofer, owners of the Oxygen House in Lethbridge and Raymond, explain what it's like to use a hyperbaric oxygen chamber. They say there are a number of benefits and explain how it actually works.
So it's a chamber that you crawl into, and you breathe 95% oxygen through a nose piece, and then we increase the pressure to 1.3 atmospheres. Now, 1.3 atmospheres is like being 10 feet underwater. So you do have to pop your ears as you go along. What that increased pressure does is it allows the gas, oxygen, to dissolve into your blood and your blood plasma. Now, blood plasma can go in parts of your body that red blood cells can't fit. So it also goes into your other fluids as well, like cerebral spinal fluid and your other fluids as well. So it's flooding your body with oxygen, oxygen is like energy to your body, and then your body starts fixing up the place.
Make sure you catch the full interview with Brian and Cassandra Meyerhofer from the Oxygen House and BCN's Jeanette Rocher coming up later in our broadcast. You know, Alberta's been seeing more and more film and TV production lately. Are we becoming more of a Hollywood North than Vancouver, Toronto? Brock Skretting is with the advocacy group Keep Alberta Rolling. He says what's helping to make our province more attractive to producers are incentives the Alberta government is offering.
I think the provincial government is doing it. You know, the film and television tax credit has been a game changer. They've been supportive in working with the municipalities. I think some of our secondary municipalities like Lethbridge, like maybe Red Deer, Medicine Hat, can start thinking about regional development so that it's province-wide and not just Calgary and Edmonton-centric.
We're going to be chatting all things TV and film with Brock Skretting from Keep Alberta Rolling. We're also going to chat with U of L professor Derek Olson and award-winning director Scott Sikma about the TV and film industry coming up in the second half of our show. The Open Doors World Watch List came out for 2024. It ranks countries around the world where Christians face the most persecution, including death. Now, this next report, we find out where Christians are facing some of the worst dangers.
Christian charity Open Doors UK and Ireland launched their World Watch List to a packed room of around 130 members of the British Parliament this week. The annual report ranks the 50 nations where Christians face the most extreme persecution and discrimination worldwide. Speaking ahead of the event in Parliament, the charity's CEO, Henrietta Blythe, shared why North Korea's topped their list as the world's most dangerous country to be a Christian.
And the reason is that Kim Jong-un insists that everyone worships him and his forebears and nothing else. So if you're found with the Bible, if you're found talking about Jesus, you can be executed on the spot, or you and your extended family can be taken to one of the internment camps. What's shifted this year is that it's become much more dangerous for people who escape to China. So China recently repatriated 600 North Koreans, some of whom are likely to be Christians.
One of the most disturbing findings was the scale of persecution taking place in sub-Saharan Africa, where at least 4,606 Christians were killed because of their faith. Father Stephen Ojapa, who served in ministry in northwestern Nigeria, was kidnapped in 2022 by Fulani bandits and held in captivity for 33 days. He says it's vital the British government and Christians around the world challenge the Nigerian government over these atrocities taking place in his country.
There should be a lot of pressure on the government of Nigeria, a lot of pressure, to get things right.
Dabrina Bet Tamraz, an Assyrian Christian who fled Iran after serving in prison for her faith, said despite so many restrictions there, the church is growing rapidly.
I believe that many Iranians are open to know the true God and the true God of Christianity. Jesus is the one who is evangelizing today in Iran. He appears in dreams and vision to people. He is doing signs and wonders among the Iranian people.
And MP Fiona Bruce, the Prime Minister's Special Envoy for Freedom of Religion, said it's vital we continue to work together on behalf of the 365 million Christians persecuted across the world today.
Whilst persecution is increasing across the world, so too is the determination of people, of activists, of organisations like Open Doors to work together so that we can address this and seek to help and support people who are suffering so much, whether it's a loss of a job, a lack of an employment, the loss of their home, or even worse, being physically attacked.
Peter Wooding reporting for the Global News Alliance in London, England.
Well, we experienced a very cold Friday with a wind chill hovering around -35 earlier today. Fortunately, a bit of a warming trend is on the way. A full look at the weather picture is on deck. Environment Canada issued an extreme cold warning for much of southwestern Alberta earlier today. It was a cold one this morning. Wind chill values hovering around -35 degrees. Jeanette Rocher is now with a full look at the weather forecast. Jeanette, fortunately, it appears as though things may be warming up by quite a bit fairly soon.
Yes, and it is about time to, Hal. We are still dealing with those high wind chill values on Saturday morning, but the daytime high is -5, bringing us back into that seasonal range, up to -8 on Sunday. And then look at that for Monday, all the way up to -1. Then we get into the pluses, 7 degrees on Tuesday, 4 degrees on Wednesday, and all the way up to 8 degrees for a high on Thursday, rounding out that 7-day forecast, bringing us above the average high for this time of year. So the average high is -2, and the average low for this time of year, -14. 17, that was our high temperature on this day recorded back in 1944, and in 1969 we were sitting at a chilly -35. Sun rose this morning at 8:20, and our sunset this afternoon is 5:05 p.m. We're now looking at 8 hours and 45 minutes of daylight. We are 2 minutes longer than we were yesterday for the daylight. Temperature sitting at 5 degrees throughout the day in Victoria tomorrow, mainly cloudy skies as well. Temperature also steady tomorrow in Vancouver at 5 degrees. Looking at a 30% chance of showers in the morning. Now they are under a freezing rain risk this evening, particularly in the areas along the Coquihalla Highway. So we're looking at areas between Hope and Merritt, BC, looking at freezing rain that should be transitioning into showers and flurries by the morning. In Edmonton, -13 for a high, a mix of sun and cloud, although still dealing with the wind chill of -30, particularly in the morning. -7 for a high in Calgary, mix of sun and cloud. Same thing, looking at some wind chill values that aren't so friendly. In Saskatoon, -17 for a high, looking at extreme wind chilling at -35, risk of frostbite. -10 for a high in Regina, -13 in Winnipeg. Winnipeg seeing periods of light snow, and both Regina and Winnipeg looking at fairly gusty winds, 40 to 60 km there. In central Canada, we are looking at 30% chance of flurries in Toronto, -8 for a high, -8 the expected high in Ottawa tomorrow, also 30% chance of flurries. And we're looking at periods of snow in Montreal tomorrow with a high of -10. As we get into Atlantic Canada, we're also seeing quite a bit of snow there, but just kind of slight chances, 30% chance of flurries in both Fredericton and Halifax tomorrow, -4 for a high in Fredericton, -2 the expected high tomorrow in Halifax, 0 for a high in Charlottetown, looking at 2 to 4 centimeters of snow, so a little bit more snow there. And St. John's looking at a high of -2, looking at 60% chance of flurries following a wind and white squall warning this evening. Should just be some flurries tomorrow. So there you have it. That is your forecast.
Internal documents from Alberta's energy regulator suggest the province's environmental liability for oil and gas wells could be nearly triple the figure the agency announced this week. In a report released Wednesday, the agency said the cost of cleaning up the province's 466,000 wells would be around $33.3 billion. That figure is based partly on 2015 calculations that estimate cleanup costs in different parts of the province. Now, in discussion, papers produced in 2018, however, said that those estimates were far too low, or around 263% too low. If that's the case, that means the cleanup costs would reach around $88 billion. A spokesperson for the regulator says the discussion papers were based on incomplete information and that more accurate data is being compiled. A large electronics company and a telecom giant have announced a partnership to rebrand and revamp 165 The Source stores. Best Buy Canada and Bell Canada say The Source, a wholly owned subsidiary of Bell, will be rebranded as Best Buy Express. Locations are expected to start opening later this year. The small format stores will offer consumer electronics along with wireline and wireless services from Bell, Virgin Plus, and Lucky Mobile. A Bell spokesperson says there are currently just under 300 The Source locations. The stores not being rebranded will close later this year. Home goods company Wayfair says another 50 of its workers are being laid off as part of a 13% cut to its global workforce. The CEO of the Boston-based company says he's cutting a total of 1,650 employees' positions because it went overboard in hiring during a strong economic period. The cuts include 19% of Wayfair's corporate staff. Now, here's a look at today's markets.
The TSX was up 149 points on the day to finish at 20,906. The Dow was up 395 points to 37,863. The S&P 500 was up 58 on the day to 4839, and the Nasdaq was up 255 points to 15,310. West Texas Intermediate oil was down 46 cents to 73.62 U.S. per barrel. Natural gas was down 18 cents to 2.52 U.S. Gold was up 6.28 on the day to $2,029.62 U.S. an ounce. And silver was down 12 cents to 22.62 U.S. an ounce. Feed wheat is at $8.71 per bushel. Barley's at $6.35. Canola's at $14.28. And corn is at $7.51 per bushel. Live cattle February contract was down 45 cents to 174.38. Feeder cattle were down 83 cents to 230.10. And lean hogs February contract was down 35 cents to 70.75. The Canadian dollar was up slightly over the past 24 hours to 74.47 U.S.
Recapping one of our top stories, a 22-year-old man has been charged after conservation officers in Nova Scotia investigated what caused one of the worst wildfires in the province's history last year. Nova Scotia's Natural Resources Department issued a statement saying Dalton Clark Stewart of Villagedale is facing 3 charges related to the Barrington Lake fire that began last May. The blaze ended up scorching more than 23,000 hectares of land and forced around 6,000 people from their homes. It was finally brought under control on June 13th. At the time of the wildfire, several Liberal MPs reportedly blamed the wildfire on climate change. The Last of Us cleaned up at the Emmy Awards recently. Now, it's a TV series that was shot right here in Alberta. Coming up, we're going to chat with those in the Alberta TV and film industry about why our province is being sought after by Hollywood producers. Listen, when you see news happening in your community, be sure to drop us an email at info@bridgecitynews.ca. And if you missed any of our local stories, visit our website, bridgecitynews.ca.
Here's today's Bridge City News community calendar. For people with special needs and disabilities, Ability Skate invites you to a dedicated sensory-friendly public skating program designed especially for you. Taking place Sundays from 1:45 to 3:15 p.m. and Tuesdays from 1 to 2 p.m. at the Civic Ice Arena, you're welcome to put on your skates and glide on the ice in a dimly lit, no-music environment. For details, visit leisure.lethbridge.ca. Discover how Lethbridge has played an important military role in the preservation of world peace and security by visiting the Lethbridge Military Museum at the Vimy Ridge Armory at the Lethbridge Airport. The museum is open to the public each Wednesday from noon to 4 p.m. Special arrangements for other days and times can be made by calling 403-328-6196. Admission is free, but donations are gratefully accepted. For more information, visit lethbridgemilitarymuseum.org. Lethbridge Sport Council's Indoor Roving Gyms program takes place Tuesdays at Emmanuel Lutheran Church from 6 to 7 p.m. and Thursdays at the Service Sports Center from 10 to 11 a.m. This program is for kids ages 5 and under and their caregivers. Come and enjoy an hour of fun and get active. Pre-registration is required and space is limited. For details and to register, visit lethbridgesportcouncil.ca/rovinggyms. And that's today's Bridge City News Community Calendar.
The film industry here in Alberta keeps building a following, but that's not without the hard work of those within our province who continue to advocate for more TV and film productions. And why not? Alberta has incredible backdrops with our beautiful Rocky Mountains, the foothills, along with our spectacular towns and cities. You don't have to look much further than southwestern Alberta and the town of Fort Macleod, which has had a number of productions shot there, including Ghostbusters. Now, to talk about more about what Alberta has to offer is University of Lethbridge professor Derek Olson, Brock Skredding of Keep Alberta Rolling, and award-winning director Scott Sikma. Gentlemen, welcome to Bridge City News.
Thank you.
Derek, let's begin with you. TV and films are so popular that more and more people are signing up for your cinematography course at the University of Lethbridge. How did this course come to be?
Well, I mean, I've been at the University of Lethbridge since around 2000 and 2007. I'm actually an alum of the University of Lethbridge as well. So I finished my degree about 20 years ago. And when I was a student here, there wasn't a film program. There was a multimedia program, was right brand new, and they did a little bit of video work, and that's sort of where I started. When I went away to finish my master's degree, I always had it in my mind to be able to come back and sort of grow some of the curriculum offerings here at the University of Lethbridge and teach students more about how to make films.
So when your students enroll in the program, is it all about the storytelling or more about maybe the production side of things, such as learning the low angle and depth of field shots?
Well, I mean, there's lots of different courses that I teach, and there's lots of other faculty at the university that also contribute to a really broad-based kind of approach to the film industry and to the media industry more broadly. But really, it touches more of what I teach is on the storytelling side of things and not really into a lot of the technical stuff. But it is a really good balance between the creative side of things and preparing people with the skills-based training.
Yeah, you need a good storyline, absolutely, to sell a film or a TV series. Brock Skredding is one of your former students and is succeeding in the industry. Brock, what is your biggest takeaway from the program at the U of L?
Yeah, I think it just it lays the foundation for success in a number of ways. I think you see the convergence of different types of narrative filmmaking and video game production, AR, VR, all types of different things. All of those are based on story and based on a wide range of technical skills. So it gives you a little bit of taste of everything, and then you kind of get to pick which direction you want to start to specialize in afterward. So it really sets you up with that foundation so that you can go into your career on good footing and then make decisions onto which area most interests or most fits your skills.
So Brock, one of the more important parts of post-secondary education is that true and meaningful connection the student can make. Can you talk about the opportunity to collaborate on projects and how it led to your success in building your career in the film and TV industry?
Yeah, I think I'll say Derek's he's on the line, so I'll just tell a bit about a narrative production class that we took back in U of L. We would make these short films, and I just remember it takes a lot of effort and a lot of time to put these productions together, even at a student level. So he was an extremely patient and helpful and knowledgeable professor that he really, it didn't matter what time of day or what the actual schedule of the classes were, he would help out not just myself but all the students. So I've always been grateful for that, and I take that experience with me into the industry as I work, for sure.
That's great. Now, Scott, you're an award-winning director. Can you chit-chat a bit about the mentorship that you received that led to where you are now?
So It actually it came at like a last minute thing, and it was great. Derek was directing a feature film while I was in school there. It worked out. He was looking for more people and gave me the opportunity to come in and AD with him and get to see the building blocks of how film and everything works together in a student film, and well, more than a student film, in a feature film, and gave me the building blocks that I carry along through the career. And it was great to learn it there, because it was, especially with Derek, it was like, no, this is, learn your mistakes here, learn how to get through it, learn your problems here, so that when you go out in the industry, you have the fundamentals, you have the knowledge to do this. And that's what Derek brought to the table for us.
So Scott, what are some of the other bigger productions you've been involved with?
I've been all over, from following Christopher Nolan with Interstellar. I just finished first ADing for director Walter Hill doing Dead for a Dollar. I'm signed to do his next feature film as well. I can't say anything about it yet, but I'm signed for that one. And it's great. I've been working with A-list actors all over the world. I went down all over the States and Europe and Canada, and it's just go, go, go. And I'm very much a motto of, I just keep kicking doors as I go, and people say no to me, and I'll swamp their office with resumes, every single desk. I don't care. I love this industry, and it's got to me where I am, and it's up from here. It's, again, I'm signed for directing another Christmas movie, directing another summer romance, and Hallmark's been really great for those things, and it's been bringing me all over. I love everything from the A-list movies down to the C-list and D-list, or whatever it is. It's about the story, and it's about the passion behind it, and that's what I love.
Quite the adventures here. Now, can you talk about what you needed to learn as a student to really connect with the viewer through storytelling?
It was learning those fundamentals, and that's especially with Derek's narrative classes and script buildings. It was learning your start, your middle, your finish, learning your big whale, how the story all comes together, and it's teaching us how to allow our actors to be actors. At the end of the day, I'm a director, but I'm just there to push and pull them in the right direction. It's up to them to bring it, and that was a huge thing that Derek showed us, is let them do their jobs, let them be who they are, and that's how you're going to succeed.
Now, Derek, you have your own accolades in the film industry, and it's not an easy industry to be in. Now, can you talk about how you've seen students supported and encouraged to pursue their career and passion in film?
I think you're right. Yeah, it is a very challenging industry to be in. There's a lot of ups and downs, a lot of starts and stops in the industry, and I think that's one of the benefits of having a post-secondary environment to learn in, because it allows you to create those connections with your fellow students and with your professors, and when you bring people in from the industry to visit with the students, and it's that network that helps to provide opportunities and to point people in the next direction. We're doing a show over here, to be able to connect with people, and I mean, one of the things that I tell my students a lot, especially early on, is that a reputation is difficult to build and difficult to earn. It's incredibly easy to lose. And so it's those relationships that I really strive for those students to build and to maintain, and to support them. I'm in touch with a lot of my former students and continue to encourage them and watch them succeed, and that's really fun. And get an opportunity like this to even just visit with them again and see all the success that they've been having.
You can be like a proud papa, you know, that's my girl, that's my boy right there, you know. Derek, as a professor in film studies, how do you feel students can be kept from really falling through the cracks and maybe losing motivation?
I mean, that's challenging too, right? Because a lot of people, especially when they get started in this, don't understand the kind of effort it takes. And Scott was just talking about that, right? About how, you know, it's a lot of hustle, right? It's a lot of being proactive and being really assertive in charting your own direction. And so, I mean, it's trying to set realistic expectations for students, especially when they first get into my classes, and then also, you know, bringing people like Scott and Brock and others into the student kind of environment to be able to help reinforce those expectations and really help those students know what it's going to take to be successful.
Scott, let's flesh this out a little bit more here. What would you say were some of the main factors of your education that really helped to contribute to your success?
I think the main factors were it's the fundamentals that Derek and the teachers there all taught us, but it's also the connections I made there. A lot of the students I went to school with, me and Brock were in the same classes, and it's great back and forth when I've done a few things with Keep Alberta Rolling and to see what they bring forward to the table, as well as other students. One of my producers now is Carly James, and me and her started at the exact same time, right next to each other on the computer, and we followed each other throughout the past 10 years, working Vancouver, in the States, working Canada, and it's not just them, it's so many students that I'm constantly reaching out to, and I'll meet up with them on set, and it's like, oh, okay, you have connections here, I have connections here, how can we help each other move forward? And Derek is really right. It's a huge thing about building your reputation, building yourself up, and it's that connection of the other students that you learn and you meet, and that's what really brings it together as a community and helps us evolve there. And it is that. It's the students that you meet and the fundamentals that Derek teaches to bring us to where we are.
Now, Brock, you were the head of the advocacy group Keep Alberta Rolling. Can you talk a bit about what your organization really does?
Yeah, I think we quite a few things. We really just like the name suggests, try to advocate for the growth of the screen industry specifically in the province of Alberta, work with municipalities to try to get them to implement film-friendly policy, development, things like implementing commissions or funds, things of that nature, and just try to raise awareness about all the successes that we've seen in this industry. So we've seen over, like you mentioned, Ghostbusters and a couple other projects, but just last night or yesterday, Alberta Made in Alberta projects were nominated for 30 Emmys. So
Wow.
So 24 for The Last of Us and 6 for Prey. So it just shows the accolades that the hard work and skill and talent of Albertans are putting on the table at a global scale, and also just the quality of the locations here, which is partnerships between municipalities, the provincial government, the organizations in the film industry, and so many other private businesses and landowners. So it's trying to promote those people and encourage more of that to happen. And certainly over the last number of years, Alberta has become a major player. So it's really exciting to see.
That's cool, because a lot of times we hear about Vancouver being Hollywood North, Toronto being Hollywood North all the time. What can we do to really entice more producers to bring their films here to Alberta?
Yeah, I think the provincial government is doing it. The film and television tax credit has been a game changer. They've been supportive in working with the municipalities. I think some of our secondary municipalities, like Lethbridge, like maybe Red Deer, Medicine Hat, can start thinking about regional development so that it's province-wide and not just Calgary and Edmonton-centric. But the film industry loves to utilize all the locations of Alberta. So I think we just have to keep on the track of that we're on now, which is collaboration and training and the whole province working together to try to make this industry succeed. And I think it's working. So we just more of the same, in my opinion.
Around 7 years ago, I had the opportunity to work with legendary film director Denis Villeneuve on the film Arrival. I had the principal role as one of the main TV anchors in the feature film that was shot in Old Montreal. What an incredible experience. I can check it off my bucket list here. Now, Mr. Villeneuve wanted to actually hire journalists to be in his movie. He was very humble and approachable. So, Scott, as a director, let me ask you something. How important is it for you to never forget your roots and remember where you came from?
You have, it is one of the most important things. You have to remember that, otherwise this industry will eat you up and spit you right back out. You have to be humble. You have to constantly be thankful. And a lot of the opportunities I have, I am very thankful for having. It's 1 in a million chance to work with some of these people, and especially with Walter Hill, and a huge fan of his growing up, and now I work next to him. And same with even Kevin Sorbo. I've done 2 movies now with him, and growing up watching him as Hercules. And you gotta stay your grounds and stick your ways, otherwise you're not going to last through it. The film industry is never a job, it is a lifestyle.
And busy too. I remember Denis Villeneuve said to me after I was done shooting my scene, listen, Hal, I got to split. I got to go to Istanbul, Turkey to shoot the new Blade Runner movie with Ryan Gosling and Harrison Ford. I'm like, what? And he left that same day. It was just incredible. Derek, as you watch the careers of both Scott and Brock develop and advance, what do you feel really needs to be said to future Alberta filmmakers?
I think one of the things that I would say, and Brock and Scott are a great example of this, is that it's a possibility, right? I think that's the thing, especially growing up in Southern Alberta myself, not really realizing that the film industry was accessible. It was something that was a possibility, right? And that's one of the great things that a post-secondary education can do. It opens up doors, it opens up possibilities. And I think that that's what I would say. It would be like, if this is something that's really of interest to you, there's so many different ways to get involved in this industry. Being able to have a well-rounded foundation and a post-secondary advanced education kind of environment is great, but there's lots of other ways to get involved in the industry. And again, Brock talks a lot about those in his advocacy, and there's lots of different ways to be involved and to really learn that this is it's a valuable part of our society. It's an incredible part of our economy. And this is a really bright time in the film industry right now in our province.
Derek Olson is a professor at the University of Lethbridge. Brock Skretting is with Keep Alberta Rolling, and Scott Sikma is an award-winning director. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Well, more and more people are seeking alternatives to traditional medicine for their health challenges, and some of the more cutting-edge types of treatment include hyperbaric oxygen therapy and infrared light therapy. So joining us today are Brian and Cassandra Meyerhofer. They are the owners of the Oxygen House, which is located in Lethbridge and also in Raymond, Alberta. We welcome them now to Bridge City News. Brian and Cassandra, welcome.
Thank you so much for having us.
Of course. Thanks for joining me. I'm really interested in hearing all about this. So first of all, maybe give us a bit of an overview of what exactly you do at Oxygen House. What exactly is it, this oxygen therapy?
Well, we're a small health clinic, and we started out with hyperbaric oxygen, and we quickly added infrared lights. And then we began learning about the bioimmunity testing and hair mineral analysis testing. So we are qualified to do those tests as well, which help us understand your body chemistry and how you can change body chemistry and just increase your health. And we have natural food-based supplements and minerals, the really awesome minerals. And we use nutrition, minerals, and these alternative methods like hyperbarics to help people increase their health.
Okay, so you're called Oxygen House, but it's much more than just oxygen. Okay, so what exactly is this oxygen therapy? So it involves this hyperbaric oxygen chamber. So how does it work and what does it do exactly?
Yeah, so it's a chamber that you crawl into, and you breathe 95% oxygen through a nose piece, and then we increase the pressure to 1.3 atmospheres. Now, 1.3 atmospheres is like being 10 feet underwater. So you do have to pop your ears as you go along. What that increased pressure does is it allows the gas, oxygen, to dissolve into your blood and your blood plasma. Now, blood plasma can go in parts of your body that red blood cells can't fit. So it also goes into your other fluids as well, like cerebral spinal fluid and your other fluids as well. So it's flooding your body with oxygen, oxygen is like energy to your body. And then your body starts fixing up the place.
That's incredible. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. It sounds a little scary. You crawl into a chamber and it closes around. You've got a tube in your nose. It sounds very futuristic, like when they would find the pods with the people. I don't know. Exactly. What does it feel like? Is it relaxing?
It's very relaxing.
Okay.
I sleep. A lot of people sleep, but you can read a book. You can be on your phone, but it's very. Yeah.
Okay. So it's not dark in there?
No.
And you can bring a light in there too. We have a portable light that goes inside, and it has big, large windows. People are claustrophobic. We sit right by the window, just make sure they're okay, and slowly increase the pressure, make sure they're equalizing their ears as we go along.
Yeah. So. Okay. Are you able to communicate with them while they're in there? Is there a speaker? Okay.
We communicate through the window. Yeah, you can hear us through the
Okay.
window.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How long is a session? Like, how
Usually,
long does it last?
yeah, 1 hour.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 hours, but 1 hour is usually what we recommend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. What kind of benefits should a patient expect? Like, are there specific health conditions that oxygen treatments can help with?
So overall, we say oxygen is anti-inflammatory. It increases ATP, which is your cellular energy. It detoxifies. It mobilizes your stem cells, and it normalizes your immune system. So that is a general for everybody. This is what it does. But we have seen it's very good for people with brain problems, multiple concussions, autism, stroke, anything. We've also, like, there's a lot of studies that say it has had a benefit for people with everything from arthritis, sports injuries. We use it pre and post surgery for people. And we've had multiple people with cancer, all sorts of things come and utilize oxygen and seen benefit.
Okay. Are there any potential side effects or something that people should be aware of when using hyperbaric oxygen treatments?
Yeah, well, we use a mild pressure chamber. It's not a high pressure chamber, so it's very safe. The only issue you can have is sometimes you get a slight detox effect because of the oxygen. Your body starts detoxing because it has that added energy. And so maybe the first or second session, you won't feel super great. But with increased water intake, usually by the third or fourth, you're fine. And that's kind of on the rarer side. Usually a lot of people feel more energized. So good that way.
There are no reported side effects for mild pressure hyperbarics. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, we can all use more energy, that's for sure. And you two have been doing this for about 5 years. You've had your clinic, and you have kind of a personal story there, don't you, Cassandra?
I do. 6 years ago, I suffered a medication withdrawal, which I should have been weaned off of, but I was just pulled off of, and it just broke my brain. I was in my room, shaking. I didn't sleep for weeks, and I just thought I'm never going to be normal again. But somebody introduced me to hyperbarics at that time and said, I think you should go in a hyperbaric oxygen chamber. And so I started going in, and it just totally made all the difference in the world for the healing of my own brain. So I'm a big believer in what it can do for you.
That's incredible. How many sessions did that take for you to start feeling better?
You know, I went in at least 40 sessions.
Oh, it's a lot. Yeah.
Probably more than that. Yeah.
Yeah. But it worked for you. So that's incredible. Now, you also do this infrared light therapy, right? So I've heard that this is another treatment you offer. So what types of lights are these, and how does it affect our body?
Yeah. Well, it's a type 2 medical device. And what it does is it increases nitric oxide in your body. And what nitric oxide does a whole host of things. Incidentally, as we age, we produce less and less nitric oxide. So when you're 40, you produce half as much as you did when you're 20. When you're 60, half of that again.
Wow.
So, what it does is it actually dilates your blood vessels. And so there's more blood movement, more oxygen being carried to the tissues. It stimulates hormone release as well. Increases circulation, and it actually can also decrease swelling, and you can also use it for pain reduction. What it does is it actually mimics the medicine morphine, the drug morphine, without any of the side effects. So it can definitely have a pain relieving aspect as well.
So it works on the inside of your body and also topical on your skin too, right?
Yeah. So you can use it for skin, for body shaping. You can use it for liver detoxification, heavy metal detoxification. Yeah, it's a type 2 medical device, and it's also, you can purchase it and own it in your own home. So that gives you usage every day if you want to.
Okay, and there's studies out there that are showing positive results as well?
Yes, there's lots of studies that show for a variety of things, everything from skin issues to detoxification to wound healing.
Wow. Okay. What are some of the most common types of health conditions that clients come to you for treatments?
Honestly, we see a lot of people who have been to 2 or 3 doctors and maybe a specialist, and they know something's wrong with them, but they can't figure out what it is. all the blood tests come back normal, but they don't feel well, and they're saying something's wrong with me. And so then we start doing testing and using some of the modalities that we have to try to shift body chemistry and find out what are the roots of this problem. But we've also seen people with specific issues, car accident victims with brain injuries, Alzheimer's patients, cancer patients. And then we've seen people who just want to know more about their own body and how can I increase my own health? And, am I aging? What's happening in my body? And so they just want to know about better nutrition and really excellent supplements.
Okay, well, you mentioned supplements. I believe you guys sell different types of things, but also a big part of your health, and you mentioned this at the beginning, is you do a BIA, which is that bioimmunity analysis on patients. So what does that involve exactly, and what information does the analysis provide?
So it's a urine and saliva test that you can tell a lot about what's going on inside the body by what's coming out of the body. So we test your sugars, your salts, your pHs, your ureas, and then we can give you a metabolic efficiency. So how well is the body digesting food? We can give you an immune energy efficiency rating. How well is the body able to deal with stress? How well is the immunity? We give you a biological age. So how much aging is taking place in your body? And then we look at the various imbalances and say, what organs need relief or what's under stress? How can we shift this chemistry? And then we use nutrition and supplements to do that for you.
That's incredible. And then I understand you also do that hair mineral analysis. You mentioned that at the top there. So I believe this can reveal how the body is storing minerals and toxic metals and producing energy.
Yeah, so the hair mineral analysis is kind of a longer term picture about what's been going on in your body. It gives us an exact level of each mineral in your body and whether you're dealing with any toxic metals. It also gives us an adrenal and a thyroid and a blood sugar and an energy rating. And then we look at the ratios of minerals in your body because they're pretty important. The body is 75% water, 25% minerals. So these ratios, like zinc copper ratio, is for detoxification, and it should be 8 zinc to 1 copper. Well, if that is off, your body's not detoxing properly. So then we try to balance the ratios and the chemistry using the minerals that we have.
Wow. Speaking of minerals there, I believe that you're kind of a huge advocate of people not taking enough minerals. A lot of people take vitamins, but you're saying we should actually supplement that with minerals as well, right?
Well, it's the minerals that help us absorb the vitamins. And so if you don't have a good mineral base, you won't actually make use of the vitamins you're taking. And so we really like people to have a good mineral base. And I've really come to see that I think most diseases are actually a mineral imbalance in the body, either deficiencies or minerals in the wrong place, like calcification, right? Calcification in the brain can lead to Alzheimer's, calcification in the joints can lead to arthritis. So we like to look at the mineral base of the body, and the more we can balance that, the more health there is.
Okay. And then, of course, we were talking about supplements. I know I take supplements. A lot of people do, but you believe that supplements that offer, the ones that you offer, I guess, are a little bit more superior. So what's the difference between yours and any other kind?
Well, the liquid minerals that we offer, they're angstrom sized. And that means that they can go directly into your cells. So you can absorb them sublingually. So they can bypass digestion. So most people have compromised digestion, and they maybe are getting 30%, maybe 40% of the minerals that they're taking in pill form. But these can go straight into your cells. And so you're getting 100% absorption. They're also water soluble, so they won't build up in your system and cause problems with metals. And they're also properly ionized. So they're actually sort of pulled into the cell.
Wonderful. And then, God, you guys do so much stuff here. So another type of treatment you do is called, let me see if I get this right, QRS Cell Vital. So what is that, and what is it helpful for?
Well, we have a QRS, and it's the same one they use on the space station. And they use it there so that they don't get osteoporosis and that they can have cellular energy in that environment. It's an electromagnetic resonance pad, and it basically speaks the same biological language as your cells. So it's a lot of cellular vitality. So I say that 8 minutes on the QRS is like 3 hours of walking or 1.5 hours of hard exercise.
What?
To your body in the same cellular energy rejuvenation. So people who can't exercise, this is a great thing. It can also help restore the parasympathetic nervous system. So for people who've been in fight or flight for a long time, it can help restore that parasympathetic so they can rest and digest. And it also helps restore people's sleep cycles. Because people have trouble with sleeping. And so again, it's a type 2 medical device, and you can own it and have it in your own home. So these are really, really good things that we think are great for people.
Instead of going to the gym, just hook yourself up to a machine, basically, and sit there and watch your favorite show on TV.
Exactly.
That's great. What does the QRS actually stand for?
Quantum resonance system.
Okay, well, that sounds very futuristic as well. You guys are great. We really appreciate having you on today. I've learned so much. Thank you.
Appreciate being here. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Brian and Cassandra Meyerhofer are the owners of the Oxygen House, which is located in Lethbridge and also in Raymond, Alberta. I'm Jeanette Roche on behalf of all of us here at Bridge City News. Thanks so much for watching.